It's Helena's new book, and I just before I give her the mic, I just have to tell you this experience I've had this week with reading her new book of short stories that has just been released, and then I start reading the book together with Hugo actually because he's here and reading aloud for each other. Every story made me cry. Every story just in different ways broke new rooms open in my heart. And I was so mesmerized by it. I was taken to places. I was moved. I was recognizing and feeling the deep, deep wisdom that Helena is tapping into when writing these stories, all with this bamboo as a red thread. Maybe some of you have already read the book. You can put a comment in the chat. But Helena, you have written a little masterpiece here, and I'm so happy to invite you here to share more about your journey and share with us. So welcome, Helena. Thank you for your new book. I'm stunned.
Thank you. I'm glad the book has found a reader. that alone is a reason to write it, right? When a book finds its readers, I'm very grateful, and it's wonderful to hear that in your openness you had this experience. Thank you.
It's beautiful, Helena. And I mean, do you have the book here? Can we see it?
Yes, it finally arrived. This is the book.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, and I love the Buddha on the front also, right?
Yes.
How are you feeling? Like having it in your hands and,
like I do have this feeling like you have climbed a mountain and you have not necessarily so I'm on the top, but like I made the journey, very like it is complete. It's a beautiful, it's content, beautiful feeling, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's very fulfilling, right?
It is. Yeah. And it's been a long journey, so
yeah, and we want to hear everything about it. And I'm like, where to begin? Maybe do you want to read something for us just to start, just feel it? Because you've written this in English, so we can all understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was it was hard to find out, but I just read the beginning of the last story. It's called Bamboo Amongst Oaks. This is my home, green and brown, branches and leaves, worms and woodpeckers. This is who we are, and all together, breathing life. People come here too, although not many and not often. They come with loneliness. They come for our peace. They are so unlike us, always on the move. Even if some of them whisper, I want to stay here forever, they never do. There was a time when I wished I could leave as easily as they do. Back then, I didn't feel I belonged here at all, because I am a bamboo planted amongst oaks for reasons beyond my understanding. Around me, I see oak branches heavy with substance and power. Mine are thin and hollow. The oaks stand proud in the midst of a storm. I bow for the slightest breeze. To them, birds sing their praise. To me, mice squeak while chewing at my roots. The oaks know their worth. Standing in the shadow of their grandness, I am more grass than tree, insignificant. And the oaks are blissfully ignorant of the hardships of being me. They don't know how it is to live with the hollow core and its constant craving. Humans do know it, and apparently they have found a way to get around it. They fill themselves with food and drink and also with feelings and thoughts all the time. It's by observing them that I have become such a skilled receiver of human minds and hearts. I am as frail and unsubstantial as they, but I find what they hide inside themselves, and that somehow fills my void. It gives me peace, just like I give them peace. Maybe that's just what bamboo do. I would know I am the only one around. All I can say is that I keep human emotions stored deep within like they were my own, long after I forgot them, those who brought them here. One of them will stay in my memory forever, though. I could hear her long before she arrived. The slow, uneven rhythm of her footsteps told me she was taking this forest to heart. She didn't seem starved the way so many others before her did, those who arrive here thirsty and hungry, like they don't have a life of their own. With her, it was something else.
Oh, that is such a cliffhanger.
I like those.
Wow, I love it. Thank you. Can you feel this? Center Heart Storm, everybody. It's like a meditation to listen to. And I love hearing you read it with your own voice also. It's like, wow, fantastic. And it speaks to something that I think we all can recognize with the comparing with others and finding our strength. So, wow, beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Helena, this book, we have to hear more about how did, like when and how did you know that you were supposed to write this book? Or when and how did it come through? What happened?
Well, it goes really long back. It was back in 2006, where I just stopped playing music and then started having this urge to write again. And I had a dream. I had a dream that I was holding a book in my hand. It was called Bamboo Stories, and I knew when I woke up I was meant to write the book. So I started writing it and started writing different stories in Danish back then. And after quite a short time, I was like, it stopped. The flow stopped, and I then tried going back to it a couple of times along the way, and then translated it to English, then stopped. It was like, and then last year, a dear friend of mine, Caroline, invited me to come to Bali. And at first that didn't work out. But then on my second attempt, I had this idea, because the book was, I knew it was Bamboo Stories. It was about bamboo and Asia. The stories naturally took place in Asia as they appeared for me. And I've never been to Asia. So I thought, wow, I'm going to Bali. Maybe now is the time to finally work on these stories. And that's what happened. And this time I did finish writing them and then editing them with my wonderful Canadian editor. And here they are. So it's been a journey of what?
17 years.
Yeah, more than 10. It's like 17, I think, or something.
Yeah,
it's really,
17.
so it's never too late. Never give up.
I think this is very fascinating. Thank you for sharing this, because it shows something about you so new that far way back that there was a book there.
And also, if I may add, is that I thought I wrote the stories, and I kind of really wrote notes and sketches, because what also happened during, this is important, during the 17 years is that I changed, my life changed, like really not dramatically as a drama, but a lot. So when I came back to the stories, I had a completely different perspective on what I felt was important to write about. So So I'm really glad I waited. I think I have a better gift to give now, if you can compare gifts, than I had back then. Yeah.
Huh. Very beautiful. And the thing is, when I read the stories, it seems so fresh. It's like you could have written all these today, right? So it's like it's very in alignment with who you are today. So it's a very beautiful, I feel, experience of also like a wine that needs time to
Yeah, sometimes,
for the qualities to come forth. It's beautiful and very comforting for everybody.
Yeah.
I think, right? So I gotta ask you, because maybe it's not totally like new, but this is the first collection of short stories you have published. And how was that journey? Like writing in this genre and kind of daring to do that. And what was that like?
Well, it was easy and it was difficult. So it was, for as long as you just write for yourself and there are no witnesses, it's easy. It's just fun. Well, there is also struggle with it, but it's struggle with yourself. You wrestle with yourself. And I knew all the time I would publish it, and I have published poetry before and also nonfiction, so that felt easy too. But I did notice that that just around the publishing, it did trigger some insecurities and comparison with others, like in the book. And actually, like, great doubts, like a strange feeling, actually, because part of me was like, this is what I am able to write at this time, and I want to share. And I do have like a principle that says, we don't always, not everyone has to be a master. There's a range of voices. There are books for everyone. We can all write. So it was okay on one level that, I will publish it if this is the best I can do. But just as I did, there was this, I was reading this big novel by Murakami, like that thing, and then it was like bamboo amongst the oaks, right? And it was my little story, and I was like, each of these stories could become a novel and a film. I just wrote a little tiny thing. Like, so there's a lot of, there were doubts and questioning, and it was a really good journey, because it took me to the place eventually of knowing that you cannot compare, you cannot measure, and you are who you are, and you do what you do, and you express what you express, and then I'm at peace again.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Can you feel this, everybody? I love it. So good. And thank you for sharing so open-heartedly about it, because it's like, I think my experiences, I think from myself and from everyone I talk to who writes, that we come to a point where we have to take those stances with doubt and fears and comparison and feeling like a fraud. Those kinds of little, it's so universal, right? And we have to take these stances and make peace. So thank you. It's very, very encouraging. So, there's so many things I want to ask, but I think actually I'll just ask you here, as this is just a mini interview, right? Is there some kind of experience you've had around writing the stories, how they came to you, or during the publishing process, something that you would like to share with us, something that you feel will inspire us to hear?
Well, I do feel like sharing something that actually kind of relates to our current challenge. You see, I've had some stories when I came to Bali, and I've been working, and there came a point where I was like, I'm done. That's it. And that was it. And then a strange thing started to happen. Not just as I thought, I'm done, but just, around these days, a word started showing up. It was a name. The name was Magellan. And I knew like Magellan was a traveler back in 1500 something. And I thought, well, maybe he came to Asia, whatever. I don't know why this word comes. It's just noise. So I went about my days and it kept coming. I'm like, why? Magellan, what? There was just this word, Magellan. As I was getting irritated, then I went online and I looked up, what Magellan's story, and I found out that that he was killed with a bamboo spear, and I was like, but it still didn't inspire me. Like, it's a historic person or persona, and I'm like, I didn't know what to do with it, but it kept like pushing me. So, and I did feel that reading his story was a step. So I surrendered to it, kind of reluctantly, but I surrendered to it. And I think, okay, so I read about Magellan and there's the bamboo spear. Now what? And I sat down and an image appeared. And the image was that there is this native warrior who throws the spear at Magellan. That was it. And I'm like, that's all you're giving me. But I wrote it. And that, just because I wrote this scene, the next scene came. And this is not the first scene in the story, by the way, but the other scenes started to come. And when you read it, you will see that it's probably this story in the book that has the most levels and aspects and perspectives. It's very rich in this sense, because on one hand, it's almost, political. On the other hand, it's deeply spiritual. On the other hand, it is about what's right and what's wrong and what's worthiness. And there is a personal story. There's so much that unfolded, and I actually don't remember how it happened. I'm like, how did I even read that story? So this is really something to remember, that sometimes we just get the first crumb and maybe the next, but the more we say yes to it, then it starts to flow, and magic can really happen. So don't give up too fast.
It's so good. I love everything about this story. Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful, and also thank you for following your intuition and surrendering and allowing the curiosity also to kind of guide the way a little bit here, right? So this is something I hope everyone really take notes and hear what is being shared here, because this is super, super profound. As a writer, to do that, it can take you to places you could never imagine. So
yeah, it doesn't always come like, we have these moments when there's your channel and it's flow and it's open, but it doesn't always come that way. So the other ways are meaningful too. So
exactly. Yeah, it reminds me of the Hans and Gretel story with the little stones or breadcrumbs to follow to find the way home, right? One at a time. And I recognize that sometimes too in my writing. So thank you. So if you should just say a few words, Helena, about what will this book give the reader? I'd like to hear that. What do you feel this book gives the reader? Maybe you already heard from readers. Or what do you feel?
When I look back on these stories, they are not easy stories. You have to read them slowly, like you would do with poetry, but you will also see that each of them contains a big challenge, So what I hope is that that it shows a way through, that it inspires, maybe like this, the way the stories came about also, that it inspires people to not give up and to be open to the fact that something very wonderful can happen just on the other side of some very difficult experiences and surprises.
Yeah, totally. It's so true. You really embrace the duality in these stories and the pain of being a human being, right? Sometimes, and also the wisdom and the love. So it's absolutely, I think, a light and a guiding light. So how can we get this book, Halina?
It's on Amazon.
Oh, it's been such a joy to have you, Halina. I am
Thank you.
overjoyed that you wrote this book, that you had the patience and the courage and the wisdom to write it. And thank you for this contribution. And everybody, go and get that book, right? And give it to all of your friends. They will love you for it.